I'm Tony, and the mother of Rohan, a young man who just happened to have Down syndrome. And we discovered that you could do plans for Rohan. We could do paths, we could look into the future. We could talk with him and discover what things he wanted to do. And when we did this plan, he invited, not us, he invited a group of friends that came from all the different recreational areas that he belonged to, in fact almost anything that he belonged to at all, to come and join us in the doing of this plan, because we wanted them to see all of Rohan as a complete person, not just the little part of him that they had something to do with. We thought that if they saw the complete Rohan, whatever they did would be more effective and more useful to him. And he's an avid sports person. He was mad keen about the Penrith Panthers rugby team in Sydney, and his ambition was to go to Sydney. Now, Rohan was a young man with Down syndrome, but he also had Eisenmenger syndrome, which is a major health problem, a heart-lung problem. And he spent 16 hours of every day on oxygen and never went anywhere without oxygen, and had to sleep with a 70-kilo oxygen concentrator beside his bed every day. Couldn't walk very far. Was totally beyond me to do anything about a visit to Sydney. I just couldn't cope with it. However, it came up on his plan. He wanted to go to Sydney. He wanted to visit with Penrith Panthers. And this came up on the plan, and the people from the varying parts of his life said, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I will take responsibility for this. The end result was that he had the best 5 days holiday of his life that he's ever had, and I didn't do anything about it. All of these other people did. And they organised that a taxi came to our place and took him to the airport with Qantas Airways, whose disability assist is marvellous. They came to the taxi, they took him on the plane, took him to Sydney, put him off and took to the hire car that was waiting for him in Sydney. They went out to Penrith Panthers ground and the hotel that they own there. He slept there for 5 days. This was pre-arranged by other people. He spent a full day with the Penrith Panthers team. He brought home a photograph of himself with every individual player and him, and a signed autograph. And they took him onto the oval and they played rugby with him. But he also came home with the most amazing photograph where he had a full team in tears, all in their team uniform, and here was Rohan sitting up in the middle of it. He also ate in their cafe and ate in their big dining room. He got players' discount for the day in their shop and came home with all sorts of Penrith gear. But while he was there, he also wanted to visit with Nicky Webster. Nicky Webster of Olympic Games fame, who's been a favourite of his. And it was organised that he went out and spent a half day with her at her dancing academy. And she is just the most delightful young woman. But while he was there, he went to visit with the Home and Away set, which is favourite TV here. But he also went out to the Blue Mountains, and he went to the Sydney Opera House, and he walked around it, over it, under it, found a shop to have coffee there, bought a postcard, and we've got a photograph of him lying on the tiles of the roof. He also visited with the Harbour Bridge. He went to a wildlife place. What he didn't do wasn't worth doing. And then he came home again via the car to the airport. The airport people took him over, put him on the plane, and the icing of the cake, on top of the cake, was that he had his photograph taken with the air hostesses, who were great, but he had his photograph taken with the pilot in the cockpit of the plane, and the pilot's name was Rohan. And he had the best 5 days of his life that has ever happened, because he had a plan, people who were at at that plan said, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And they all got in touch with each other and they all cooperated. And I sat back and watched. It was great.